What do all movies and shows about Atlantis portray as their logo? The open pyramid at the top of the Kabbalah Sephiroth. Now, flying saucers, like this obviously man made craft that was evident in the Phoenix Lights, how far back do they go? In 1898, H.G. Wells wrote The War of the Worlds. Now, H.G. Wells also wrote two other books which are not as well known. Here are the covers for those books. The Kabbalah Sephiroth symbolism should be obvious to you by now. After War of the Worlds was written in 1898, the alien phenomenon took off. Since then, man has strived to build flying saucers. This started in 1934, and you can do your own research on this, and I elaborate on it in my Does God Exist series. Since 1934, man has been trying to create alien aircraft. The Roswell incident occurred after this in 1947, and the only pictures from the Roswell incident show the wreckage of a weather balloon because that is what it was. The only conspiracy here is that people think there is a conspiracy, and the idea is presented to us over and over and over again on television that there is a conspiracy. Now, in 1952, two U.S. officials claimed that flying saucers were of alien origin. The very next year, in 1953, guess what movie was released? H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds. What a coincidence. Now, in 1961, and I have no idea why the United States actually made public one of these man-made flying saucers, the Avrocar, or VZ-9AV, was shown. In the following diagnostics, you can see how this thing worked. Since then, development on man-made saucers has been silent. You can view Area 51 on Google Earth, but you will not see any alien aircraft there. I highly suggest you do so. I show what can be found there in my Does God Exist series, and just why they are making these silly man-made alien spacecraft in the first place. Now, what are you looking at here? This was seen in the Phoenix Lights, and it is just a newer, high-tech Avrocar. They have put bright lights around the multiple turbo rotor assemblies that you saw in the Avrocar to disguise them. Now remember, they have had 49 years since the original Avrocar to perfect this. Now, why are they doing all this? How about we check a chapter from the Babylonian Talmud that was written in the time of Jesus and is still taught today. It was written by the Sanhedrin, whom had Jesus killed, and who followed the Kabbalah. Now, after hearing about what you are about to hear, I want to ask yourself a question. Why is this never brought up? Why can people make fun of Jesus on TV programs, Broadway plays, and movies, and it is not seen as anti-Semitic when Jesus was Jewish? Mel Gibson's movie The Passion was seen as anti-Semitic before it even came out, when it was about the most famous Jew who ever lived, and is taken right from the Bible, which was written by the Jews and Jesus' apostles who were Jewish. Question what is in the Talmud and you are seen as a racist. The Anti-Defamation League was specifically started to protect what is in the Babylonian Talmud, as were other organizations. Why? You are about to learn why. They do not want you reading certain information, and they definitely do not want you reading the original Babylonian Talmud that the modern Talmud is based on. Now some actual quotes from the Babylonian Talmud. In Sanhedrin 106a, it says Jesus' mother was a whore. She who was the descendant of princes and governors played the harlot with carpenters. So the Sanhedrin is basically admitting that Jesus was from royal blood. A passage from Sanhedrin 106 gloats at the age in which Jesus died. Hast thou heard how old Balaam was? He replied, It is not actually stated, but since it is written, Bloody and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, it follows that he was 33 or 34 years old. In Sanhedrin 43a, he and his disciples practiced sorcery and black magic, led Jews astray into idolatry, and were sponsored by foreign Gentile powers for the purpose of subverting Jewish worship. Shabbos 104b. He learned witchcraft in Egypt, and to perform miracles used procedures that involved cutting his flesh, which is also explicitly banned in the Bible. Gittin 57a says Jesus is in hell, being boiled in hot excrement. Sanhedrin 43a says Jesus was executed because he practiced sorcery. It is taught that on the eve of Passover, Jesus was crucified, and 40 days before his death, the proclamation was made. Jesus is to be stoned to death because he has practiced sorcery and has lured the people to idolatry. He was an enticer, and of such thou shalt not pity or condone. Now there are many other insane statements and sick teachings in the Babylonian Talmud. If you look at my favorites, the first link shows many of them. You'll be blown away at what you find, and for good reason. We have been taught up is down, left is right, and manipulated and deceived for quite some time now. I hate to break it to you people. The only star god that could ever manipulate the fabric of the universe and that could change water to wine that ever walked on this earth was Jesus. He preached love, being non-judgmental, and peace. He came here for us. He died for the people that said these slanderous and hurtful things about him. Even though they slandered him, they admit that he and his apostles performed miracles. Jesus lived, my friends. The Bible is not fiction. He will be coming back. It is time to re-examine things and ask why. Why were so many horrible acts done in his name that he would never have condoned? Why does the world, which is hell-bent on resurrecting Atlantis and creating man-made Zion, which the Bible has said would be the synagogue of Satan, hate Jesus so much? If you have more questions, please view my other videos. Thank you for watching this video. To close with, I would like to read prophecy that was written 700 years before the death of Jesus. Isaiah chapter 52 verses 13 through 15. See, my servant will act wisely. He will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted. Just as there were many who were appalled at him, his appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any man, and his form marred beyond human likeness. So will he sprinkle many nations, and kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what they were not told they will see, and what they have not heard they will understand. In chapter 53 verse 5, But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed.